This episode is brought to you by the Denver Botanic Gardens Chatfield Farms. Because there's still time to light up the holidays at Trail of Lights Chatfield Farms. Wander a glittering path of lights through the quiet Colorado countryside and enjoy hot beverages, nuts, kettle corn, caramels, and fudge, which are available for purchase. You'll see the historic Hildebrand Ranch House and 19th century schoolhouse decorated with holiday lights. I mean, the hot chocolate is obviously most appealing to me because it keeps me warm, along with my Uggs. But, you know what? I'm not going to say. I actually had kettle corn yesterday. I will have kettle corn. Tis the season. It's perfect. Trail of Lights runs through January 11th and is open on Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve, and New Year's Day. Tickets must be purchased in advance. Get yours today at botanicgardens.org. Today on CityCast Denver, is Mayor Mike Johnston making Denver streets less safe? That's the allegation from a number of mobility and safety activists lately, especially those who have been fighting the city's new plan for Alameda Avenue. So today, I'm asking an expert what he thinks. Wes Marshall is a professor of civil engineering at CU Denver and the author of a new book, Killed by a Traffic Engineer. Oh, and stick around for a sponsored interview with our friends at Simply Eloped, who told us a very interesting statistic about Colorado and weddings. Today is Wednesday, December 17th. I'm Bree Davies, and here's what Denver's talking about. Wes Marshall, welcome to CityCast Denver.
Thanks for having me, Bree.
I want to start helping people understand this perspective you're bringing to this conversation because you published a book this year. Could you give us a quick summary of Killed by a Traffic Engineer, like where you're coming from in this?
Yeah, so it's hard to give a quick summary because it's like a 400-page book.
Fair.
So I kind of started off with the idea that medicine's been around for 5,000 years. For the first 1,000 of those years, you could probably argue that doctors killed more people than they saved, but it's an empirical science, and they've gotten better and better and better. Like traffic engineering, we're only 100 years old. And what I'm saying is we're still in that stage where we're killing more people than we're saving. But the problem is we don't quite know it. Like a lot of our deaths and severe injuries, we just blame on human error. But when you zoom out and really think about why these people were doing what they were doing, for example, there's a crash that happened where these kids were walking to school and they were jaywalking. They got hit by a speeding driver. It's an easy crash to chalk up to human error. And how do we fix human error? We put out PSAs and stuff. But when you look at the situation that we engineers or planners put them in, it's like the nearest crosswalk was like a half mile away. And even if you go to that crosswalk, it's a pretty crappy crosswalk that doesn't feel safe. Then you look at the sidewalks in between where that crosswalk is and where the kids were, and they're terrible. They're missing. They're just gone. So when you think about these kids, they did what any rational person would do, is they crossed in the best place we gave them, but then we blame them for kind of their own death. Like my point is we can do a better job if we kind of change our mindset and think about crashes like that differently. It puts the onus more on us as engineers to do better.
I think that's a great introduction to this book for folks who maybe want to learn more. So I want to start with the topic that's been in the news a lot recently, which is the work the city is doing to make Alameda near Wash Park safer. They had a plan to remove a lane and implement a buffer area for pedestrians along this certain strip of Alameda. And then they changed course, apparently after meeting with billionaire Phil Anschutz's daughter-in-law, Jill. And there's a new plan to keep all 4 lanes. Again, you've written a whole book on this. Do you think it's plausible that this shift is just as safe with this plan as the one that they had previously planned on implementing?
To be honest, no. It is hard to imagine that it would be safer. And even when I look at their analysis, we would typically look at a road diet and say there's on average, a 29% reduction in total crashes, but the reduction in severe injury and fatal crashes is more like 50%. So it's definitely safer. But when you switch to what they're proposing now, some safety benefits would occur. But when you look at the list of gains you would get, I feels like some of the biggest ones that you'd get with the full road diet just go away.
So it sounds like you're saying it is not just as safe.
Yeah, I mean, you're still going to have higher speeds. You're still going to have the passing and the weaving, at least in one direction. You're still going to have the multi-lane pedestrian risks. You're still going to have some of the most severe crash types. And when I looked at the analysis they didn't really account for any of that. It was a very simplistic one where they just wanted to do a quick and dirty back of the envelope type analysis to figure out kind of what safety was. And given what they did, yeah, they found safety would be similar, but I don't think it's really a fair way to look at it.
So you're a person that looks at this kind of information and data every day. Is there something particularly interesting to you or different about this situation that maybe just the average person isn't seeing?
Well, I think the average person would look at when we reduce the number of through lanes on a street, like, oh my God, we're going to have all this traffic. It's going to be so much longer for me to sort of get across this thoroughfare. And the funny thing is, like, it's not true either. It's sort of counterintuitive, but the number of cars you can get through an urban corridor is much more determined by the intersections than sort of the segments in between. So if you have like a left turn lane and a right turn lane, like that's what is actually holding us up. I think about, going up and down Colorado, like you're going like 50 miles an hour between intersections, then you stop for 2 minutes, right? So it doesn't feel like you're moving, and your average travel time over the corridor is really slow, but it's not because of the number of lanes in between. It's really because the intersections aren't that efficient.
Interesting. But I guess I'm trying to think from the pedestrian perspective then is if the road diet were to go forward as planned, it would ultimately be because as a pedestrian, crossing multiple lanes is really scary. And so slimming down those lanes, is that the only thing that makes it safer for pedestrians, or is there something else that I'm missing in this picture?
There's a long list of things. So,
okay, couple high levels.
I guess one of the big ones would be the fact to be a buffer between where the sidewalks are and where the cars are driving. Like right now, the lanes are right up against the sidewalk for a lot of that stretch. So having a little bit of space in between would be a lot more comfortable and safer for pedestrians. The other one that I'm actually more worried about is when pedestrians are walking along Alameda and crossing the side streets, and then you have cars turning into those like side streets, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you only have one lane of traffic to combat with, it's much easier for a driver to kind of scan for a pedestrian in that opposing crosswalk, look for a gap in the traffic and make the turn. But when you have two lanes of oncoming traffic, the chances that a driver scans for pedestrian, I mean, the research shows it's much less. So that's where you get a lot of pedestrian, especially severe injury type deaths and more severe type crashes, because it's the driver shooting across the other two lanes and hits the pedestrian that's just on the side street.
So it's the side street turnoffs that can be really dangerous
Yes.
with more lanes.
Right.
Okay, that's really helpful. So let's pull back to the big picture. The two heads of Dottie's advisory board co-authored this editorial in the Denver Post last weekend where they wrote, quote, "The previous administration made great progress in achieving these visions for a connected Denver, but today, under Mayor Johnston's leadership, that progress has stalled and in specific instances has even been reversed." Do you agree with that statement?
Well, it definitely feels like we've slowed down. Reverse a little bit. I mean, there's some places that they've took out some of the protection. I really wish they went the other way and actually, a lot of those flex posts, like the white little plastic things you see, like to me, that's more of an intermediate step. Like we should be taking it to the next step and putting like real concrete between like where people are biking, walking, and where the cars are. Instead, we're sort of backtracking a little bit on that front. But when you start seeing the stuff like with Alameda and maybe the 29th Ave bikeway and things like that, like I think you could definitely make the argument that we're going backwards to some extent.
And you were just describing the white bollards that I think, quote, protect bike lanes. What is that? Is that a high comfort?
It's supposed to be more of a protected bike lane. But to be honest, like those white flex posts you see are designed to pop back up if a car drives over them at 70 miles per hour. So it feels like protection, but it's really not the full protection. So I do wish the city would start pushing more towards, one of the lanes I come in on Arapahoe to my campus here, there's a couple segments where they have sort of real concrete planters in between. That's a much higher level of protection.
And we were discussing it earlier. Those bollards the city removed, actually even removed some of those flex posts downtown because they were, quote, blocking business view. So now those don't even exist there at all. And now I think it's called a Denver curb.
Yeah, I mean, and those aren't terrible. I mean, except when they put them perpendicular to traffic, because that's actually the only bike crash I've ever had. I hit one of those.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So this editorial too also kind of looked back at some of the other things that Mayor Johnston's administration has done in the last couple of years. And do you think that the mayor is just not prioritizing street safety?
It feels like he has other priorities, and you can see that in terms of like where the money's going and this sort of stuff. Like I wish there was sort of more stuff being done. I mean, at the same time, when I zoom out and think about how far Denver's come since I got here 16 years ago, like the streets have been completely transformed in a lot of ways. So we've made a lot of progress.
So before we move on from the Alameda project, just one more question is, there's this big group of activists who have come together to oppose this minimal change. They were in support of the bigger change. And more than 1,000 people have signed a new petition asking to revert to that old plan. But I wonder, do you think there might just be like a quiet majority of Denverites who actually just want to make driving more convenient?
I think what I've found historically is it's just almost the vocal minority of people that want to make driving more convenient, or it's the people that don't actually live here. They're coming here for other purposes. And to me, like we should be making these streets safer for the people that live and work. Even looking at Alameda, people are worried about sort of the cut through traffic, maybe moving to other streets. Like people are cutting through on Alameda itself, and people live and work, and your dentist is there. And we should be making that street better for them. And it's also a street that we know is unsafe. So there are probably drivers avoiding it for that reason and moving to those cut through streets. So there's stuff like that I don't know, just doesn't jive with what they're planning now with what we could or should be doing.
This episode is brought to you by Foothills Animal Shelter, which, by the way, is Colorado's largest single-campus animal agency located at 6th Avenue and I-70, just outside of downtown Golden. They serve Jeffco and partner with shelters across Colorado through their open admission, lost pet reunification, and Better Together, resources supporting pet owners in need. Plus, adoption centers are open daily. Foothills Animal Shelter provided shelter for nearly 9,000 animals in need in 2024 and helped almost 6,000 pets stay in their loving homes. So help them out today. If you give by December 31st, your donation will be matched up to $20,000 as part of their Holiday Fund campaign. Or you can support the shelter by adopting a dog. Oh, you're sending me a link to look at dogs, Paul? Oh my God, Charlie. Charlie's 9 years old. See, this is what we're looking for, a dog to be a companion for Boomhauer, because every time he goes to his dog cousin's house, he's like comes back so excited, and we know he's like a pack dog by nature. And maybe this dog Charlie, who's 9 years old, is his new friend he's been waiting for. Kiki, Boston, Kimmy. Adoption fees for adult dogs aged 1 year and up are half off through December 31st. Head to foothillsanimalshelter.org to learn more. This episode is brought to you by Denver Health. Denver Health is proud to sponsor the CityCast Denver's Denver Awards. As the backbone of the city for 165 years, they are Denver's most trusted. Denver Health is more than a hospital, more than a doctor, more than a treatment. They are a community. Denver Health is your neighbor and your champion, with you for life's journey. Denver Health offers emergency care, urgent care, and primary care, as well as healthcare in more than 130 other specialties. Most major insurance types are accepted. Visit denverhealth.org/citycast to learn more. That's denverhealth.org/citycast. This episode is brought to you by Aura Frames. Now, you've heard me talk about how an Aura Frame digital picture frame is the best gift, but let me just give you a list. Wirecutter, The Strategist, Wired, PC Mag, Good Morning America, The Today Show, Forbes, The Wall Street Journal, and literally over 400 more. They all recommended Aura Frames in their gift guides in 2024 alone. Listen, as humans, it took us thousands of years of giving each other stuff, but I think we finally did it. We actually have created the perfect gift. It's the Aura Frame. And now, for a limited time, save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver Mat frames using promo code CityCast at checkout. That's AURAFrames.com, promo code CityCast. This deal is exclusive to listeners, and frames sell out fast. So order yours now and get it in time for the holidays. Support the show by mentioning us at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. Again, the Alameda situation is just one of many things where Mayor Johnston has maybe been showing his priority when it comes to our streets. This year, in fact, he celebrated that Waymo announced they were bringing driverless vehicles to Denver. Do you think he's right to welcome them with open arms?
I think it's worth seeing how they fare. So I saw one in the wild a couple weeks ago. It had a driver in it. It wasn't really moving. I don't think it's the panacea that people think in a lot of cases. Like even on the safety front, there's, a lot of times technology feels like it can solve all our problems, but it just leads to different kinds of problems. And the safety benefits that we expect never really come to fruition. At the same time, they are probably the one company I would kind of trust on this front because they've put a lot of the work in. They have the right technology. Like I would not be trusting, for instance, Tesla's full self-driving because they don't use the right technology. They're trying to do with cameras. It's been proven to be very dangerous so far. So I think we need to be careful. I don't think we should be changing our city to try to adapt to technologies like this. I think it's the opposite. We need to sort of make these technologies adapt to our cities.
Well, another piece of this conversation that we've seen evolve under Mayor Johnston this year is this whole car-free streets / shared streets thing. Last spring, Johnston allowed business owners to bring cars back to the 2900 block of Larimer, and now his administration is talking about, quote, shared streets, which they say, quote, are designed for low vehicle volume and slow travel speeds. What do you think about this shift from car-free to shared?
They've historically not been common in the U.S. Like it's the thing that really started in Europe. There was a professor named Hans Monderman that did this thing where he basically took away all street signs, all curbs, and it sort of made it this big free for all. When I talk to my students about it, I compare it to like an ice skating rink. Like if I try to describe for you what ice skating is like, it sounds insane. Like, oh, we're going to put these really sharp things on people's feet and people can kind of go wherever they want, but hopefully they'll kind of go in the same circle. It sounds super dangerous. And with shared streets, it's kind of the same thing. Like people are supposed to be making eye contact with each other to kind of figure out where and when they should go, as opposed to just kind of staring up at a traffic light, looking at your phone until it turns green and then just going regardless of who's going in a different direction. So it really is a fundamental shift in design philosophy. And over in Europe, they found to be much safer. At the same time, there aren't many examples of it in this country to say so. I think it can work in very limited context so far, but it's hard to see it as kind of a mass solution as of yet.
So thinking about the economics and just like how cities work, why do you think something like the car-free street that was on Larimer at 29th was so hard to keep around?
My understanding is that there were some certain businesses that were funding its maintenance and that money went away. So the city's like, it has to go away, which I can't imagine that being a big pot of money that would be needed to keep it maintained. Like we can always find money when we need to expand Pena Boulevard or something, but we're looking in couch cushions when we need to kind of keep something nice like that. So I don't know. I feel like it didn't have to go away, but they maybe used that as an excuse to do so. It felt like it was used all the time by those businesses. So I'm surprised that they didn't want to keep it. Or I mean, maybe they did. I haven't talked to them, but I figured there was be a little bit more of an uproar on one side or the other.
Yeah, there were definitely folks out literally in the streets protesting, wanting to keep that street open to just pedestrians. So I don't think you're alone in that.
Yeah.
What else are you paying attention to in Denver when it comes to street safety and transit infrastructure?
I would love to see us start making more progress around schools. There's so many schools I see that are on, some of what we call the high injury network. So it's some of the most dangerous streets in the state, like Federal or Leetsdale, and streets like that, that we have schools right along there. And yes, we have school zones, but we can't even be bothered to lower the speed limit in those school zones. So I would love to see us start more around those places and make our city, safer for kids to walk or bike, or like maybe not even just schools, but maybe parks and rec centers too. Like really do a better job of making it safer around those destinations that kids would use, and
Yeah.
work our way out from there on a more systematic way instead of the way we're doing it now, which is it feels like we're playing whack-a-mole. We just kind of wait for people to get hurt and then try to fix it.
I do like this approach, though, of being like, let's start with something that people should not be pushing back on, which is safety for children. Well, I guess overall, do you think Mayor Mike is making our streets less safe?
Um, I wouldn't say that. I mean, that might be pushing it. I feel like it's just not his priority yet. And I feel like this is something that it should be more of a priority for all of us. Like safety, it's a national health emergency. I mean, we're killing 40,000 people a year in this country, and Denver kills, at least 70 plus
Hmm.
every year. And I mean, that's 70 too many. And that doesn't even include all the people that are getting severely injured. And the best cities are the ones that are, not just safe to drive around, but it's safe for everyone. Because there's at least 30% of the population that can't drive. Like to me, that's real freedom, that's real safety, and that would make the city better.
Do you think there's something that another city is doing really well right now, or some other big change that you think Denver could do?
Oh, yeah. Well, there's a long list of stuff we could go through on that. But I mean, when you think about safety, it often comes back to like the fundamental physics of crashes. Like our bodies can withstand only so much force, and force comes from a combination of like speed or acceleration and like the weight of the car. So we need to reduce like speeds. And it's not
Hmm.
just through enforcement or telling people to drive slower. It has to be through design. Like that is the only way that's been shown to sort of fundamentally shift safety, is really focusing on lowering speeds, or doing things that I don't think we want to often make it harder for people to drive around, but you also need to make it safer for pedestrians and bicyclists and kids. And if you sort of really focus on safety, like we say in all like the Denver Moves documents, it's like pedestrian first, like that's our priority. We're not really doing that. If we really did that, our streets would look a lot different.
Hmm. Well, Wes Marshall, thank you so much for joining me. This was really fascinating.
Thanks for having me.
We've got one last thing for you today. It's a sponsored interview our producer Paul Caroli did with Janessa White of Simply Eloped. Paul tells me he wants to hear what your guesses were, which will probably make more sense to us all in a minute.
Hey, I'm Paul Caroli, and I'm here with Janessa White, General Manager of Simply Eloped. Hi, Janessa.
Hi, Paul.
So, Janessa, I've done my research. I know what Simply Eloped is all about. It's a custom elopement package service for weddings all over the country, including here in Colorado, which is what I'm curious about. Where are people eloping to here in Colorado, in our beautiful state?
Well, my goodness, Paul, maybe I should hire you. Want to join the team?
I'm listening to offers. What do you got?
I'm just kidding. Colorado. Oh my goodness. We have so many amazing locations for eloping in Colorado. Some of my personal favorites are 3M Curve in Rocky Mountain National Park.
Oh,
Have you been to that specific spot?
no, I don't know that spot, but I know the park, and it's all gorgeous.
Oh my goodness. It really is all gorgeous. But yeah, 3M Curve specifically is kind of like a little bend on the side of the road that you hike into just a little bit. And the views of the mountains are absolutely stunning. So that's a great spot. Another spot I really love is Garden of the Gods outside of Colorado Springs. Have you been to that area?
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, that's beautiful, beautiful. Rocks, museum, gorgeous.
Yeah. The Red Rock is really a bit of a surprise. And I know you have like the Red Rock Amphitheater, but the vibes of 3M Curve at Rocky Mountain National Park versus Garden of the Gods are so infinitely different. So yeah, there's a lot of amazing options.
Which is the most popular spot in Colorado?
I would say Rocky Mountain National Park in general is like extremely competitive. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but they only do 6 weddings in the whole park per day, those permits go really fast.
They cap it? They have permits for weddings specifically?
They cap it. Yeah.
Wow.
So they're highly competitive,
Exclusive.
very exclusive.
Well, that's why you need Simply Eloped.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Yeah. It's a little unfortunate because if you're like, you would think for elopement, you don't need much planning time, like a big planning window. But if you want to get married in Rocky Mountain National Park, you really need to be planning a year in advance. Otherwise, you're not going to get the permit.
Right. Okay, so let's talk about Simply Elope, the company. I feel like if I'm looking to elope, I could plan a trip myself. Why would I work with Simply Eloped?
Some of the risk of planning on your own is you can't really guarantee the quality of the vendors that you're getting. So at Simply Eloped, we have a network of over 850 vendors, officiants, photographers, hair and makeup artists, etc. And we've vetted these individuals. So we know that they're going to show up to your ceremony. We know they're going to personalize your script. We know that they're going to come and do the very best that they can. When you're hiring someone that you've never met in person, that's a risk. So I'd say that's one of the biggest. Another reason why we see people book Simply Eloped instead of doing it on their own is it's a lot of work. It can be a part-time job to even plan an elopement. And so, not only are you dealing with the risk, but you're dealing with having to manage, having to figure things out. I will say it's not easy to get the permit in Rocky Mountain National Park. You have to get insurance. Like, it's a thing. If you're just like, man, I'm eloping because I want it to be simple and easy, that's why you would use a company like mine.
Okay. So the service though, like how does it work? If I wanted to sign up today, how would it work?
It's so easy. You'd come to simplyelope.com. You would figure out what destination you'd like to get married in. Colorado for sure, but we're also in Hawaii, St. Augustine, Florida, Savannah, Georgia, Las Vegas. Then you would choose your venue. We'd show you which venues are available on the day that you're thinking about. Choose your services: officiant, photographer, hair, makeup, florals, etc. You'd create your custom package, put your deposit down, and then we would kick off the planning cycle. So it's so easy.
Like I said, I was looking at your website and I told our producer, Anthony, who works on these, I wanted to guess, because you have so many great locations, but I wanted to guess what's the most popular in the whole country. Do you have the number? Do you have the number one?
Oh,
ready?
I know what number one is. Yeah.
Oh, is it just like far and away number one?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think it's Hawaii, but specifically I think it's Maui, because that's where White Lotus was filmed. That's my guess.
That for us is number 2, but actually Colorado is number 1.
Really? Oh
yeah,
my God.
You would never believe it. So many people want to get married in the mountains. Like, it is like the thing. Yeah, Colorado.
You're kidding me. This is just for me right now. You probably said this to all the cities.
No, 0%. I'm not kidding. We've been at this for 10 years and Colorado has remained the number 1.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
You live in the best place in the U.S. for elopements. Congratulations.
Okay, so Colorado's number 1. Very proud, very proud. Also, maybe a little bit of uncertainty. But is there like an off the beaten path destination in the United States that people might not think of, but you'd be like, oh, we've got a great photographer here. We've got a great setup in like this place. This would be the elopement spot.
You would never guess this one. So obviously, I said Colorado's big, Hawaii's big. Gatlinburg, Tennessee, the good old Smokies, is so popular. Yeah, like Dollywood, it's so popular for people on the East Coast because I think it's like the centralized place of, like, I think there's 4 national or 5 national parks that all converge right there. Gatlinburg, Tennessee, you'd never guess it, but it is so popular.
Janessa, thank you so much for joining me. Again, you can check out simplyeloped.com to learn more. We'll have that link for you in our show notes as well, so you're just a click away. Thank you, Janessa, for your time.
Thanks, Paul.
And thank you for listening.
That's all for today here on CityCast Denver. If you enjoyed this show, why not take a minute to tell a traffic engineer about us? Rate the show wherever you get your podcasts and subscribe to our morning newsletter and learn more about us at denver.citycast.fm. And hey, thanks to our new neighbors, Tyzoc W, Maria GB, Sean M, Cheyenne M, and Beth F, who just joined our membership program. You can support this show and get great perks by becoming a CityCast Denver neighbor today at membership.citycast.fm. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. See you later. Girl, I went to Catholic school, okay? I had to diagram sentences and I know all of those things. So you do sound smart.
That was my math, okay? That's the thing I do really well that I don't do. Which why that and there says that.
Did you know CityCast Denver has a perks program? Every week, we're highlighting some standout deals from our favorite businesses in town to help you support local and save some money. It's a win-win. Here are some highlights from this week. Visit any Topo Designs retail store and mention this ad to receive 20% off your purchase. Some exclusions apply. But you can get this deal through February 1st, 2026. Or saddle up for an intergalactic adventure at the Adultiverse Space Rodeo on January 17th, where you can experience the worlds of Meow Wolf Denver transformed into a 21 and up psychedelic party. Use code GIDDYUP for $4.20 off an Adultiverse ticket. Offer available for redemption now through January 17th, 2026. Or check out Green Door. You can pre-order a curated cannabis box for your next Denver trip. Includes edibles, snacks, and local accessories, ready for pickup. No stress, no lines, just a better trip. Use code DenverPerk for $10 off any experience box. To see a full list of participating businesses, just visit denver.citycast.fm/perks. It's a great way to check out new restaurants, shops, and events in your city without breaking your budget. And I think that rules.